everyone. Today we are going to be doing a fun project. We are going to get started on the twisted peyote stitch. This is a fun little project. I'm just going to show you the basic stitch for now. Maybe down the road we'll have some other things coming out. But this is just me trying to introduce us to various peyote stitches that can really add to the versatility of your designs. So let's go ahead and get started. Grab your materials and let's go ahead and have some fun. So as we get started with the basic peyote stitch, we're going to start off with the even count peyote. To do that, let's go ahead and thread our needle and thread with thread that you're comfortable with, leaving about, I would say about 8 inches of tail. And I did a full 2 wingspans with the stop bead with about 8 inches of tail. And a wingspan is from one tip to the other tip, so and then what I did was just times that by 2. For the even count, we want a total of even numbers to start off with, and we are going to be adding this line all the way around, and that's just going to help us keep track of where we're at, and it's just going to make learning this stitch a lot easier. Okay, you don't have to do that, but it will make your life a lot easier. So let's go ahead and do that. So that's why I have an accent color on each end here. So 1 accent color, and then I did a total of 8 main color seed beads, and these are all 11-0 round seed beads, and then another accent color. Alright, and then I'm just going to start off with a basic even count peyote stitch. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pick up an accent color, set it on top of this accent color right here. Alright, so I'm going to set it on this accent color right here by going through the next 11-0 round seed bead. Sometimes things don't like to sit right away, so you just have to kind of adjust. There we go. And then I'm just going to go ahead, just like a typical peyote stitch, I'm coming out of here. I'm going to pick up a 11-0 round seed bead, main color, and have it sit on top of here, and then go through the very next 11-0 round seed bead, just like this. And I'm just going to use my fingers to help guide it. Okay, and then I'm just going to repeat that. So I'm picking up a 11-0 round seed bead. I'm going to set it on top of here. I'm going to go through the next one, just like this. And then I'm going to do that again. So I'm coming out of here. I pick up another 11-0 round seed bead, main color, and then I'm going to go through the next one, just like this. Alright, and then to end this row, I pick up another 11-0 main color. I skip the last main color here and set it on top of there, and then I go through the accent bead. And I'm all thumbs right now because I have to hold this at an awkward angle. There we go. And after you do your first 2 rows, that's the most difficult. And I'm just about to catch my thread. You fix that? There we go. Alright, so now we got started. Alright, so I'm going to flip this to make it a little easier for me. And since I'm coming out of an accent color and I'm going this direction, I'm going to pick up an accent color, go through the next main color, and then not accent color, a main color again. And then I'm just going to flip it. And what we're going to do is I'm going to have you do this on your own, is I'm going to have you do a total of 9 rows. And right now we've done a total of 5, and you just count those by the edges. So over here we have the accent, this is where the accent color also helps. So I have 1, 2, 3, and then over on the other side I have 4, 5. Now when you start the 6th row, you're going to start off with the accent color again, okay? And then you go all the way up with the main color, and then if you do it like me and flip it around, you will start the next row with the accent color, okay? And do a total of 9. So you'll have 5 accent colors on one side and 4 accent colors on the opposite side. Meet me back here and I'll show you the next step, okay? Alright, you guys are doing great, and I'll see you in a little bit. Alright, so here comes the most difficult part of the actual twisted peyote stitch. So what we're going to do is we're just going to fold this. Well, let's talk about where our thread is coming out. So our thread is coming out of this very final accent bead. So over here I have 5, over here I have 4. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it so the 2 ends, so this end meets with this end. Just going to fold it. My thread is coming out in this direction on this end where I have 4. I'm going to go in through this accent bead from this side. And then as I come out of here, I'm going to go through this next main color right over here to this side. Then I'm just going to turn it, and it's going to feel a little loose until as we go along, it's going to become more secure. So we're going to turn it around so that where we're coming out of the main here, you can see we're just going to do a basic peyote stitch all the way up, just like we were doing before. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up a main color and go through the next sticking out main color. And we're just going to do that all the way up. Just like that. And then I pick up a main color, go through the accent color, and then I turn it around because it's easy for me to work this way. Well, actually, I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to pick up an accent color. You do that. So I'm picking up an accent color and going through the main color, just like that. There we go. And then I pick up another main color all the way down, just like a regular peyote stitch, going through the beads that are sticking out. Oops, sorry about that. There we go. Alright, and so we continue to go down. Now we get to the end, and this is where it's going to be a little different. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a main color. We're going to go through that accent bead that we connected to this other side. We're just going to go through here. Okay? And if you're uncertain, you just look at this bead that we're skipping, that we're going to be putting a bead on top. It is in between these two accent colors. So let me just point out, between these two accent colors right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through this accent color right there, the one that's on the top going in this direction. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go through the accent color above that, right here, and then back through that last bead you just added. Alright, and then you go ahead and make your way up again. So I'm just going to do this again with you real quick. Alright, so as we continue, we just go up like we did before. Adding the main color. So the only time you add the accent color is when you're going to be turning around to go back down. So there we go. Now we head back down, adding the main color, and we're just treating this like a typical peyote stitch. Go. And the only thing different is how we turn around at the bottom. So here we'll add our final main color for this row. We'll go through the accent color that's in between the last two at the top. Then we'll go through the accent color above that one to turn around. And then we go through the main color just like before. And then we start heading up. So you just keep doing that back and forth until you have the length that you want. Okay? Meet me back here, and what we'll do, you see how you have these little points on each end? Is I'll show you how to fill those out, and then we'll end them and add our clasp. Okay? So go ahead and get to the length that you want. And then meet me back here. Now there's a couple of options you can do. Some people like these extremely flexible so they don't put anything in the middle. Some people like to have a little bit more structure so that it doesn't go a little flat. It's up to you. If this is the first time you're making it, I would say let's just practice the stitch itself. And then later on you can decide if you want to add anything to the core of your bracelet. If you do, there's a lot of things you can do. You can add any type of cord you want. Also, I've had people use shoelaces and various other materials. It's up to you, but because for our purposes, we will be ending it by narrowing it down. So if you want to add a core, you can go ahead and do so. It's up to you. And I will be showing you how to reinforce, which will help with that a little bit. But if you add a cord, that will also give it a little bit. You'll still have flexibility depending on the material you use. Okay, now that we've gone to the length that we want, we're ready to close up this little gap on each end. And then what we're going to do is once we fill this in over here, we're going to close it up as best as possible. Then we're going to have a transitional bead. So in this case, I'm using a 4mm pearl. Then I'm going to transition into the clasp. All right. So this is going to be fairly simple. So normally when I go back down, I would add a bead. But in this particular case, we're not adding any additional beads. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to weave my way through. So that way I'm coming out of this last bead that I added. There we go. And then I just go ahead and do what I did before going down. then I'm going to turn around just like I did before. So I'll go through this one here at the top. So everything's going to be the same except for when you reach the top. We're going to avoid increasing the top, because we're just filling in. There we go. So here I am towards the top, and I'm just going to fill in. I'm not going to do any increase at the top, so I'm just going to fill in. There we go. And I'm just going to make my life easy, I'm just going to go all the way through. You can do however you want, but you want to make sure when you weave back through, you're coming out of this last bead. There we go. So I'm just going to go ahead and weave my way through. There we go. Because we're just filling up the top. That's all we're doing. So I'm just going to keep going back down, turn around, go back up, and when I get to this point where I add my last filler bead, I'm just going to try to weave my way back in and then back out so that I'm coming out of that first bead. Okay? So go ahead and do that until you have this all filled in, and then meet me back here and we'll do the next step. Alright, so this is my last time going around, and it's going to be a little different. So I'm coming back this way. I just have one bead to add here. So I'm just going to go around the top once I add that bead. And you'll notice that there's one bead to add right here. And so I'm just going to go ahead and add that. And that will fill in that gap. There we go. There. So now we have the gap filled in, and you can go around another time if you want. There we go. Give it a little extra strength. And so what we're going to be doing now is we're going to go ahead, add our 4mm pearl. Alright, then we're going to add 9 11 round seed beads of our main color. So that's 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. And what I like to do is, if possible, on my clasp, I'll add like a jump ring or a split ring. And the reason why I like to do that is that if you need to make something longer, instead of having to take everything apart and start over, you can just add to that split ring, and that makes your life a lot easier. Now if you have to make something shorter, you got to take it all apart. There's no way around that. But if you need to make something longer, it's simple to do. And you rather have something longer than shorter. So we're going to go ahead and put on our clasp. I'm just going to go through that split ring and slide that down. Then what we want to do is, as we come back down, is that very first 11-0 round seed bead that we added right here, right after the pearl. So as we go back down, it'll be right before the pearl. We want to go through that again. Then we'll go through the pearl. And the key to getting this to sit correctly is we want to make sure we balance things out. So we've done this before, so I'm coming out of this 11-0 round over here. So I want to go directly across from that and go through this 11-0 round over here. And what this will do is this will help balance the pearl on top of our bracelet. And then we go back up through the pearl. Go. And that very first 11-0 round C bead that we initially added. And then after that, we go through 2 of the 11-0 round C beads. We pick up 1 of our accent colors, then go through 2 11-0 round C beads again. Then pick up 1 of our accent colors and go through 2 11-0 round C beads, making sure our thread doesn't get caught on the clasp. Then we go through, pick up another accent bead and go through 2 11-0 rounds. And then we go back down that very first 11-0 round C bead. So as you go in and out here, you're going to treat this 11-0 round C bead and this 4mm pearl as the joint. Okay? And then you go back down the pearl. And what you're going to do is you're going to try to balance this pearl around. So let's try to go in through another 11-0 round C bead, but this time somewhere in between where we first entered and then when we exit and re-entered again. So I'm going to pick this 11-0 round C bead over here. So kind of I like to think of it as east, north, and west. And then I go back up, and then what you do is you just reinforce everything a few times. I would do it, you know, I would do it 4 times. It doesn't hurt. And then meet me back here, and then I will show you how to reinforce your bracelet, okay? All right, thank you, and I'll see you in just a jiff. All right, and the reinforcement of this is going to be fairly easy. And so what I did is I just weave my way down, so I'm just right below the first, I'm kitty corner from the very first accent bead at the top. And all we're going to do, and you don't want to pull too tight on this, is you see how this is just kind of going in a direction this way? We're just going to gently go all the way down. Go, just like this. And that doesn't feel right. I missed a few beads. There we go. So you just want to go down until we hit the accent beads. And you're just going to go in that diagonal direction. And you don't want to pull too tight. I'm going to go through the accent bead, just like this. And I'll use that to turn around. I'm going to do the top half, and then I'm going to come back down and do the bottom half. There we go. And then I just make my way up. So that way I hit every single row. And again, don't pull too tight. You just want to be very gentle with it. All we're doing is we're just creating a reinforcement. And you just weave your way in and out. But the key thing is not to pull too tight. Okay, so I'll do this first half until I get to the very top here, and then I'll start doing the rest of the length all the way down. okay? And that will help reinforce your bracelet or your necklace, whatever you've chosen to do. And again, the key thing is not to pull too tight, because you already have a good form of structure, and you don't want to create a kink or something in your project. So just remember to do it nice and easy and without too much. You don't want to be overly tight on the tension when it comes to the reinforcement, okay? All right, and then for the clasp, you do the exact same thing on the opposite end, and then you have your bracelet. So thank you guys. Don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button. It really does help me out to provide these free tutorials, and I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you look forward to I have some fun ideas going forward, as well as kind of going over some basic stitches and so forth. So take care, enjoy the rest of your summer, and take care everybody. Bye bye.